guys, thank you for coming. I think last time I was here, I spoke to you guys as well. I guess we'll just make it kind of, let's just talk through it. If anybody jumps on online, we'll answer any of their questions. But I guess I can use this time to brush up on this because I got 50 people tomorrow doing this one too.
Okay.
Or one doing tomorrow. Actually, I'm coming here tomorrow to do a luxury presentation.
Oh, so you're doing
Okay, I'll
it
be
lunchtime.
You're coming there
Yeah.
tomorrow? Okay, that's a pretty good one. We're talking about a lot of different types of houses, really.
Yeah, I haven't gotten
Oh, I should sign up. I
Yeah.
should sign up for that.
Yeah, it should be a pretty good one. That's gonna be my, just to let you in, it's the first time doing that.
Oh, it's my first time. Too, so it's all good.
You know Louisa.
What's that?
You know Louisa.
Yes,
I don't know if you know Lori or
I don't know Lord. Yeah. Yeah.
not. She's a little more stern.
All right, I'll get to know.
Yes.
I'll get to know. Well, let's go through some, let's go through, I'm gonna talk a little bit about stucco and sewer line stuff. So if you guys aren't aware of the types of stuccos, do you guys know stucco really? Or not really? So traditional stucco and synthetic stucco, two different types of stucco. There's a few other types of stucco, but they all fall under the same kind of application, right? So your traditional stucco, you have sand, lime, water, cement, right? Glass fiber behind that. It's really the types of layers that you have. So when you have a traditional stucco, you have all of that they're putting layers of cement, right? When you have synthetic stucco, they're putting cement, but it's more behind that is more styrofoam. It's more synthetic. It's not all hard underneath it, so it's a lot easier for water to get behind it. Whereas the traditional stucco, it's a lot harder for water to get beyond that stucco surface. And when it eventually does get beyond it, that's when you can have an issue.
Are both of those still used today?
They are. Yeah, both of them are still used today. And the only other type of stucco you would really have is just stucco on top of like a cement block wall, right? So these are both on top of plywood or metal framing, but always plywood behind that. But then on top of that, you have your styrofoam, and then that's a synthetic, and then on top of the plywood, you have your metal mesh and then cement on top of that. So those are the types of stucco that you're doing. All of them have to have the same type of flashing, right, to allow water to stay away from the stucco areas or the holes that can get beyond the stucco. And they all have to have the same type of gaps. So when you're dealing with stucco, say you have a roof that meets your roof coming down here, and it meets another roof kind of coming here. They have to have like a gap between them, so the stucco, the water can't get beyond that area there. Okay, and I'll show you some pictures of that. But they all have to have the same type of process as you're putting it together. So if you're looking at this here,
Which one do you see more of, like in our area? Or is it?
depends on where we are. Like if you see just a traditional like development, you're usually going to see the synthetic stuff.
That's on top of the phone.
That's on top of the foam.
So-
And those are the ones that have the problems.
That's the
More-
one, the Cherry Hill development. for
Exactly.
instance.
Those, they're still redoing them, but those are the ones that the builder knew that they were all messed up. And now they're, as the
Price.
problems come up, they're redoing them. And the hard part about the synthetic, you don't see it from the inside, right? It usually runs down the wall, and you might see it in the basement somewhere. But it just takes a long time for it to come through. Even if there's mold inside, you got insulation, you got the plywood, you got the stucco itself that's holding water, so it's really hard to see it coming through. But somebody that does the stucco, you can see it right when you get there. You can see kind of the grooves, the bellies inside on the wall. You can see the missing flashing of where they would be coming in. But kind of this is how the hard coat and the EIFS. So when you talk about synthetic stucco, EIFS, 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 they say it all different ways. There's no right way to say it. It's exterior insulation finishing system. So that's what it stands for, right? And what you have here, what the problem was when people were installing that, they didn't follow the proper directions in the process to install, right? And the key thing that they were missing is this drainage plane. So a lot of people would install it. They're like, we did this. We know how to put it on. We're just gonna slap it on there. but they didn't follow directions, the manufacturer specs, right? So they would put it on the wall and they just put the stucco right here. They put a lath on the wall, stucco there, but as soon as water got behind it, it had no way to get out. So they weren't putting the drainage plane behind it, or they were putting the stucco all the way to the ground. So they wouldn't allow it to stop here, and then when it got behind there, they wouldn't allow it to get out. So there's no way for that stucco to kind of drain. So that was the problem with that. With the hard coat stucco, what some people were doing is they weren't putting all the proper layers that they were putting on. So some people, they would always put the metal mesh because it needed to stick. But sometimes they wouldn't put like the scratch coat. Scratch coat is what's going to allow all the layers to stick to it. Sometimes they would just kick right to these other coats. You know, they would put you got the primer coat and then the finish coat. Some guys, they put one coat of cement, primer, and finish coat. So they wouldn't follow all the proper processes to install the stucco. And that's where the biggest issues came in. Right, so you have a lot of different types of finishes on stucco. If you guys are out there looking, dash finish is more just a kind of a harder finish. You know, it looks a little crumbly, as you can see there. Smooth finish is just that, smooth finish. Worm finish, you can kind of look at it. If you look at it in there, it kind of looks like it's swiveled and it kind of looks like it has little worms in it. Semi-smooth texture is the same thing. The Santa Barbara finish. You have a Spanish lace. If you look at any Spanish buildings, it kind of has that little shadows to it. That's more of a Spanish finish. Sand finish is more of a float finish. If you're looking at like concrete, almost looks like a concrete walkway. If you were to look at that. And then a cat face finish. I don't know why they call it that, but I think it's because some of the grooves in it, they kind of look like little cat faces is really why they do it. But all different types of finishes. And this can go for hard coat or synthetic, right? We get a lot of questions. Well, how do you determine whether if it's a hard coat or synthetic, right? For us, we knock on it, right? If it's hollow, a lot of times you know that it's a synthetic. If it's hard, sometimes it's a traditional. That's not always the case, right? Because sometimes the synthetic, they might have used like a very thin styrofoam. So it's harder and more compact. You're not going to hear that hollow sound. So what we usually do is to find out definitely, we go to an exterior outlet, right? Receptacle. We'll go there and we'll take the cover plate off. We'll take the whole cover plate off, and then you can see on both sides. And you'll be able to see a styrofoam. You'll be able to see your styrofoam there. So you'll be able to see that, or what you can do is you go to one of the windows, and you have sometimes they have the decorative finishes around it. You go there and you open the window from the inside. And if you see on the inside of the window, on the base there, you're gonna see a little gap there. See a little gap, and if there's silicone inside there, you know that it is a synthetic finish. If it's the traditional, you're not gonna see that gap there. Okay. So that's another way to tell. But if you go up to one and you push on it, and it's going in synthetic, and you might have a problem. You know, it's going in. All right, so what are the advantages? Advantages, it's energy efficient, noise reduction, it's durable, and it's low maintenance, right? We got a lot of issues with it that can come with it if it's not done right. A lot of cracking with it as well. There's a lot of choices in colors, which is nice, right? But professional installation, high upfront cost, climate concerns, like it's not good for us to have it here in Jersey. Right? We do not have the weather for it. If it's installed right, it can work, but it's still not weather-wise, it's not good.
Where's it better, like hot?
Yeah, you want Arizona, you see it all over the place. Florida, you see it all over the place, but there they get rain all the time. So if it's not installed right, you get that windsor rain, you're gonna get moisture behind it. And yet the colors are not easy to change afterwards. You gotta paint the entire house, but you got a primer, you gotta paint it, so it's expensive. My parents had, before they moved, they had a stucco house. It was like a 4,000 square foot, all stucco all the way around, right? It cost them, I think it was $32,000 to paint the outside of it. A lot of money. Just to paint the house.
Yeah.
So
that was a two-story house.
Two-story house. Two-story house. But I mean, you figure too, you paint the inside of your house. I mean, it's expensive too, but I'm just painting the outside of my house.
Right.
And it costs them that
My
much.
building, they're talking about painting.
What's that?
They're talking about paintability and sealing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It was expensive. And yeah, you don't have to do that all the time, but I mean, you're doing it maybe once every 10 years. You gotta paint it, so it's expensive. This is kind of the same slide we saw, the other one there. All right, so what areas are we watching out for when looking for stucco? So joints around the window. So if this was a window and this was the stucco coming towards it, you have to have at least a 1/2 inch gap around the entire window and around the entire window to allow for expansion and contraction. Because if that stucco is right up against the window, that's one of the problems we see all the time. There's no gap there, and then expansion hits the window, and then it causes that gap, and the water can get right beyond that, and gets water beyond it, and then it damages everything, right? Door frames, the same thing. Where the eaves meet other materials such as wood, trim, and stone or brick, you have to have some kind of flashing material behind it as well. We see it all the time when a stucco is meeting a deck. We never see flashing up beyond underneath that, and that can cause moisture to come in too. We talked about the roof lines where your wall meets a roof as well. You need to have a gap there as well. Deck connections, decorative trim around the windows. It's always butted up right against the eaves or fireplace and chimneys as well. Your cricket flashing. You guys know what a cricket is? Well, not the bug. So when you have a chimney, if you have a chimney that's over 30 inches wide, right? That behind that chimney should have a cricket. It's like a little roof behind the chimney to shed the water away. Okay. So if you have a stucco chimney and you have a cricket behind that, the flashing that's against the stucco should be embedded into the stucco and go underneath the roof, and we never see that. Right, so 30 inches, you should always have some kind of roof cricket to call it. Any penetration in the eaves, such as utility lines, pipes, hoses, screws, nails driven through, anything like that, it should have some kind of cover on that, right? So you should have some kind of conduit, some kind of rubber casing inside there. You should have something that's able to seal that area. Expansion joints between the floors. So if this is a two-story house, it should have a joint going around the entire house. So again, expansion and contraction of the stucco, so it's allowed to expand and contract, and it's not going to crack in those areas. Any horizontal surfaces where water can pond, you want to look out for those areas. And cracks or damages in the finish coat of the eaves. I'm going to show you some cool pictures here. These are areas that we have to look out. That's your window caulking right there, the 1/2 inch gap that we're talking about. That's kick out flashing. That's always missing. So if you go to show a house or you're walking your buyers around the house and you look at a gutter where it meets here, and you see staining right below that, you see a lot of long, it's probably missing this kick out flashing, and there might be water right in this area here causing damages inside there, right? This is an expansion joint. So you cut the stucco like that, so it allows it to expand and contract, and that should be all the way around the house. And this is like the deck flashing I'm talking about that we never see when they're doing stucco. And that's what the, so they're putting on a hard coat stucco here, right? So that would be part of the hard coat stucco. When we find problems, right, when we're doing an inspection, have you ever been to a stucco inspection?
I sold one house that was all stucco, yeah.
Okay. So
You can pull up my building, which is gonna have everything.
this one here, that's true. That was a lot there. He did find,
Yes.
he had some stuff there, so.
And I think that was traditional.
That was a traditional stucco, yeah, that was traditional, and then they also had some just cement, just concrete walls all the way up
And
there.
part of the building is brick, and part of the building is frame.
It's frame, right?
Everything they found was
So
frame
different,
side.
frame, on the frame side, and this is where we're at here. So you find a frame, you find an issue below a window that we're drilling 2 holes in, and then we're putting 2 pin needles inside there, and we're checking to see if there's any moisture beyond that. And then if there is an issue, you have the contractor come through and they cut it open to see if there's any issues.
Now, what's with the density meter?
This one here?
The red one.
This one here?
Yeah.
So that's our probe.
Okay, your
That's-
probe.
that's the
That
probe.
comes up with a number to tell you percentage.
It
of
does. So these 2 holes,
Yeah,
this has 2 probes and we're
right,
sticking
so
them inside
what
there.
is an acceptable number that it's not?
So
considered
anything
above?
below 19.
Below, okay.
Below 19 is acceptable. As it reaches higher and higher, you know, getting up to 19, our wheels start turning and be like, okay, there's something here but is it enough?
Right,
That
'cause
there's an
when
issue.
Corey was doing, he would read the number.
Right.
And, one was like 40%.
Yeah, that's
Others
when.
were lower, right,
Yeah.
but I don't know if there was an industry standard, like.
Yeah, so our meter only goes up to 40%.
Okay, so it'd be worse.
So it's, yeah, so that's wet.
So when you drill the holes, is that like a level 2?
That's level 2.
That's level 2, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because my
yeah.
clients, we didn't go to that level.
It would be invasive.
Yeah,
Invasive stuff,
exactly,
so, yeah.
exactly. And I think it was a traditional.
Okay. Some people, when they have stucco and they have traditional, some people shy away from doing the invasive stuff. Because they're like, well, it's cement, water can't get beyond that. But if they don't have the right flashing, they don't have all those things to allow the water to get away from it, water can still get behind it. Because remember, you still have the same thing like this. You still have plywood behind it.
Yes.
So if water gets behind it, it's still going to cause damages, right?
Yeah.
So these are some houses that I've done, and this one here, that was all because of that window right there. Well, it's all the windows, but this one, you can see all this down here, but this one in particular, it had water getting into here, and this is the floor line, right? So that's the second floor there. So what was happening was it was getting behind here, and all the water was just going like this, right here. And then getting beyond that, beyond that,
Or
beyond
was
that.
it going inside the house or just the
No,
sheet?
no, it wasn't go, it was just sitting on the sheathing here.
Because it's gonna go at least past. the
And
resistance.
eventually it got down to this other floor level. That's the floor. And then it went down and then it got into the basement. So eventually it got in there, That's what the kick out flashing I was telling you about. So this was missing kick out flashing right here. If they had the kick out flashing, it wouldn't let any water here. So now it let all this, then open this up and change all of that out. Same with this one here. That one on the bottom right, that's from expansion joint on the side of the windows we talked about. And that one up there, that's an over 55 community. That was because of the kick out flashing as well. All those little details, they have to. This one, they ripped off the whole house. That's like the ones in Cherry Valley. They rip off the whole house. I mean, that can cost you upwards $50,000 to $100,000, depending on what they put back. A lot of people are like, we are not putting back the stucco.
Right, I mean, why would you?
Some people say, I have a problem, I know I have a problem, and some people put siding right on top of it. And then people buy the house and they think it's a beautiful, brand new siding, and they have no idea that was a stucco until they go on Google Maps. And they see, we've had that before, that they bought the siding and then they came back at us and said, hey, we had a siding repair, did you know we have stucco on this house? No, how are we supposed to know they have stucco when they changed the windows, they pulled everything out? Like there was no way to tell because the only thing that we called out was that there was siding going all the way down to the ground. And that's not okay, but they were covering the stucco. So sometimes people find out that way and then they had an issue though. They definitely had an issue. They had to rip off everything, siding, stucco, everything. Yeah. How do you clean the stucco? You don't wanna power wash it like with a high setting. You can pressure wash it on a low setting, but you gently want to wash it with a sponge and a garden hose. Mix 1 part bleach and 1 part lukewarm water, and it comes out nice and easy. But if you have a lot of stains all over the stucco, tell your clients they want to get somebody professional in there because they have different types of cleaning materials too that they can clean it with. But a lot of people, they just kind of go and paint it again. Because once you have to power, if you just have the front of the house, it's a little bit easier. But some people have all 4 sides. They're going to spend a lot of money. I don't know about $30,000. They might spend 10 to power wash and clean the entire thing, and it's not going to look brand new. Whereas if you paint it, people are going to know that you cleaned it. So that for stucco, really. What kind of questions you guys have on stucco?
Well, I learned a lot last week.
You did. What did you learn that?
But one, I didn't know until if it's on brick, the inspection is less invasive.
Yes.
So that was something that was big.
What, if the stucco's on brick?
Yeah, do you have access to my report?
Sure.
If it's not a problem?
No, sure. Yeah, so if
I feel like the stucco house I saw may have been brick and they covered it with
So
stucco.
of course, with me, the first thing I did was say, Corey asked Carlo for the discount. Be sure taping is off now,
I did.
because he said it would save time. He doesn't have to do the
Yes.
same thing. You know, the other thing which I didn't understand until I saw him do it, is when they drill holes and then they fill it in,
Mhm.
you really can't see where the holes are.
No, a lot of people don't get that. So we have to get a signature from the sellers, right?
Yeah.
And the question that we always get from,
You really have to look hard to try and
Yes.
see where they drill.
What do you fill it in with?
we use a special caulk. It's
Okay.
it's a stucco caulk almost,
Mhm.
and we try to match it. We have like 50 different colors that we bring to
I
a
mean,
job.
whatever,
Okay.
he did.
Yeah, he
a job.
matches it, and then we try to mix colors together,
Mm-hmm.
because, and then we'll try to, if it's a dirty, we'll get some dirt and mix it in, so we try
So,
to,
yeah, I mean, you couldn't see where it did other than you put tape.
Right.
And you might have those pictures with the tape.
go back to.
That's the front, that's the 130 side. So he did have a section over there.
Right, so you had a section here,
There's a section over to the left.
that was,
You would see a sign for,
Yeah.
with a fire, whatever it is.
right.
Right.
So,
Now, he had sections. He said, well, he just drilled right through it.
and you did
He said, all I got was insulation.
insulation, yeah. Let's see what's
So I'm
on.
assuming that meant that the plot
Oh, okay.
was,
Uh-huh,
No problem. Thank you.
let's see.
Go ahead.
so that side had,
The original part of the building is stucco over brick, no areas were
so that
drilled.
left that, the third frame where you see the handicap parking,
Yep,
that is over brick there.
that's over brick, yeah.
Now, there's a joining wall. If you go back to the right of the handicap, where
Right.
the wall comes out,
Mhm.
that had stucco on it, which probably has a picture of somewhere.
Yeah, he's probably got that there. Yeah.
And then you'll see the cracks, because there's a whole bunch of places where he said to seal it.
Mhm.
That's.
Yeah, I see cracks here.
Yeah.
Substrate there was cracked,
and
so yeah,
So
so-
that one crack going all the way down, the vertical one,
right,
that's where the addition was built.
right here, okay,
Okay.
yeah, see that one there?
I think that one, he was calling for seal, but he had sections of blue tape.
Right, so that
I
one
think
there,
just called for seal.
yeah, and that's displaced, you know,
Yeah,
so, but on a building like that, they're probably just gonna seal that.
What kind of finish is that?
This one here, I'd call that a Spanish finish.
Spanish? Okay.
Yeah. And this is almost like a stamped concrete.
yeah, that's the first, that's the exact still I had.
You know, looks like a stamp. You can see all the different cracks in this,
Mm-hmm.
and this is all framed inside
The one
here,
on the middle left,
okay,
one of those had holes. He said to seal.
right. You can see they did some repairs on this
Yeah,
left picture here.
making every situation you can think of.
Yeah.
Within this building.
This is what we're talking about with all the penetrations.
Yeah.
Just drilling through all the penetrations. So those are key if you're walking around the
And
house
they were using spray foam instead of caulk.
instead of the
Which
type
doesn't work.
the right caulk, right?
I think this is not really possible.
It's not the right thing.
It's not the right, because that can trap water. It's not gonna allow water to kind of come through if it needs to.
So this is my first time, 30+ years having a stucco. inspection.
Really?
Yeah. The only other house I saw
That's a
with
big one.
stucco was 2 years ago in Burlington. I had to sell it to buy it in order.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, put it this way, a lot of people haven't been doing it for maybe the last 5 years or so. It's becoming more and more. It's not only because of just the internet, you know, it's more houses are, you know,
Deficiencies.
becoming issues. You know, they're just more water's getting behind them, people are having issues, and the issues are starting to show themselves now, you know.
How much is like a stucco inspection on a normal house?
It can be expensive, like a front of the house, say, front of a house of a standard 3,000 square foot house, you're probably about $700 to $800.
Okay, yeah. Well, my client's house was a full stucco house.
Yeah.
Sure is. Not like huge, 1,600 square feet. I want to see it.
Yeah. The
This
whole
is a whole
house,
house.
yeah, the
Yeah.
whole house, I would see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we usually charge like, for like a 3,000 square foot, entire house, you're upwards of almost $3 grand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah. And it
Probably
just,
why people aren't doing it either.
I know, no, you're right, and there's guys, and we're not up here,
Yeah.
you know, there's some guys out there that are $5 grand.
So that bottom left in the middle, well, the bottom left, to your left there.
Here,
So you can see, or you can do either one, actually, you can move the ramp too.
okay,
The stucco goes all the way to the ground,
yep,
Oh, yeah.
where part of the building is it's 8 to 12 inches off. So when we had talked, I think Courtney said we could use it, cut it off, because it has nowhere to drain.
that's
Right,
nowhere,
right.
yeah, yeah. And you can see they did a repair here,
Yeah,
where they
if
just
you use
painted
that
it.
whole part, if you go around to different sides, you'll see
Right.
that it's higher up, so they're not consistent. And that's all stuff I was learning. Plus then the lentils, which they needed to recalk.
Like you see how we drill the holes here,
Yeah.
and we're drilling there, you see this crack here, those are areas water can get in. See cracks on the sill here everywhere,
Looks like they didn't leave a gap, right?
right, they didn't leave a gap on this one at all, no.
And that's the density meter.
40%.
And that's the front, that's the front of the building.
But you can see on the bottom of that sill there, water's probably just getting
Yeah.
right in that area there. So I wouldn't be
There's like
surprised if
three
they
or
took
four-
that
3 or
open.
4 parts of the building. Get cut out.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then
Ah,
all
cut
these
out and
lintels,
finish.
all these lintels above the window, probably water getting in there from the roof maybe. Coming
Well, a
down,
flat roof, which I don't know if you read the reports too. but
yeah,
Flat roof has issues.
yeah, it definitely has issues there. And then this is what we do for all the pictures, takes all the, and we put
Percentages?
all the percentages there of what the moisture readings were,
So the one that says no sheeting is what I drilled through, and must have gone right through.
and just kind of right through, yeah. Yep, so all those red areas there, those are high areas.
That's
No
the,
sheeting right
that's the
there.
wall that to the left, the wall is further back to the brick.
Right, okay.
And then that
Okay.
wall there joined the building when the addition came up.
And this is probably all coming from either right here,
Mhm.
or even that water, or
I think he was saying it was the window,
right here then.
but that's where that building was an addition. The
Okay,
original building was the one on the left.
gotcha, okay. Have a doozy here.
We
Some
can-
of those
if we-
pictures are gonna be in the next.
If we can
Next
negotiate,
slide, yeah.
yeah, it's got everything you want.
It does. It's funny, I was talking to Corey today, Corey's doing one tomorrow.
All right, see that one there now? Did you go back to the middle? Right there, Stephanie, see where it go up one.
Okay.
The bottom, no, the other way, I'm sorry. All right, right there.
Okay.
So see where that shut off is?
That
Here.
on the right?
So see how
Oh,
the
that,
stucco,
okay.
right there, see how the
Yeah.
stucco is like 8 inches from?
Oh.
Here, that's what it should be,
That's what it should be.
yes.
Oh,
So they're gonna have to go around parts of the building.
underneath, got it, yes.
Yeah, so you see how there's that little ledge there on the
Yeah.
bottom? So that's now allowing, if moisture gets behind it, allows it
To
to
seep out.
kind of drain out.
So there's nothing really down there?
No, there's like a screen, there's like
Okay.
a white piece of plastic under there should be, and it's got like little holes in it.
Okay.
So the water can drain out.
Water kind of drains out through that.
Yeah. Learning process.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Stop the share.
That had everything.
Yeah.
When
Yeah,
he
that
does
one
it-
had
when he-
everything.
When he does a seminar on flat roofs, he's got the same building.
I'm gonna use that, I'm gonna have to start paying you.
I don't know, you took care of my people, so.
Yes.
I took a picture of that right there.
This one?
We're
You can
talking
give it to
about
them?
going out with power washes.
Oh, God.
I mean, you could do it on the concrete areas with the brick, but not the.
When you look at it, you can tell the difference.
Right.
They're not gonna be able to
No,
tell.
not at all.
It looks the same.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're teaching class?
Come on in.
I just, I'll be very quiet, I'm
No,
sorry.
I'm just, don't worry about it. Go ahead.
These are my friends anyway.
Yeah, I can tell the difference of what it is, but.
Yeah,
a
but
lot
I
of
mean,
people-
someone else to the naked eye.
Yeah, they're not gonna be able to see.
the left building, that was the original building, if you went by that single door, you can see the brick
Mhm.
over there. It's not covered up,
Right, right.
but otherwise you can't.
No, no, otherwise you're not gonna be able to see it. Yeah, not at all. Let's talk about a little bit of sewer. That's that one. So obviously you guys know kind of how sewer lines work, right? Kind of how the sewer works itself and what's included in it. You know what a trap is? This type of trap here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I put this one in here because they don't use that anymore. Right? So they don't use traps anymore when you're doing underground sewer lines. So sometimes in the older homes, you would see the main pipe coming here,
Yeah.
and then it would kind of have two caps, and then come out and then go outside the house. I don't know.
Yeah,
You've
I have
seen
an old
that,
house.
Right, so you have an old, do you know there's two caps on the ground? Does yours have two caps?
And,
On the
well,
ground for
mine,
the sewer
mine
line?
is actually probably about this high,
Okay,
standing in the basement.
All right,
it's
so-
not on the ground.
so yours isn't in the ground, but does it come this way?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have a,
Yes. It's
it has
outside
that, and
the
then,
U,
and then it
and
goes
then
out.
it goes out.
So those they don't use anymore.
Okay.
They don't use those anymore, and they don't also use, so eventually you have this, and then do you have a pipe coming up and going out?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so they don't do that anymore either. That was restricting the drainage
Okay.
going out. So then the trap was used in here to hold water, so sewage gases wouldn't, that's what a trap is used for, right? To hold water there, so sewage gases can't come back out. The problem with it was for sewer lines, that area there, you were getting a lot of debris inside there, you get a lot of sludge over there over time, because it's cast iron pipes, Orangeburg pipe, galvanized, all that stuff, and you were getting all of that drainage, all that gook inside there, and it was just backing up, so it wasn't flowing properly. So they stopped doing that. So now if you ever have, knock on wood, you ever have to, but if you ever have to replace your sewer line, they're gonna eliminate that, and they'll eliminate the vent going out that way. Now what they utilize is the main vent stack that would kind of go through your roof, right?
Oh,
It would come out of there, if that's your main vent stack. That's what they're utilizing to allow the sewage gases to go out, okay? Now for the main drain, right, see these ports here, and I have these here, so we're pretending that this line here is more than 100 feet out. So for every 100 feet going from your house out to the street, you have to have a clean out to be able to get into the sewer line, okay? That's what the max is that you should have. Some houses we go to and we go with our cameras, because our cameras only go that we inspect, they only go 100 feet. And we do that on purpose, so we know once we get to 95 feet, 96, we don't see any clean out anywhere. We have to go outside, and if there's not a clean out there, somebody should be putting one in, right? You don't want to go any further than that for access.
Is that code?
What's that? It is.
Okay, no, I'm asking for that reason.
Yep, it's definitely code there. Responsibility for the homeowner is from the house to wherever the connection is for the township, usually to the street, right? Sometimes the township comes on here. Sometimes the township's like, nope, our connection we're gonna put in the middle of your property. There's one part of Princeton, I can't remember exactly what section it is, but their whole line, I don't know, it's only on one street. Their line is right in the middle of the grass, right? So we inspected and we found the problem on that side where their area is. So when we called it out, they came out to inspect and they said, that's our, why did you go past where our section is? We take care of that. Like, well, you didn't know that. How are we supposed to know? There's nothing in the sewer line that tells us that. So they got really upset at us. And they told us, you are banned from doing any other inspection on this street. All right, what about if somebody hires us on this street? So they basically told us, we will go, I think there was only 5 houses on the street. We're gonna go inspect every single one of these houses here, and if there's anything wrong, we'll take care of it right now, but you guys should not be doing anything. No problem. So we gave everybody a free, they got all free sewer line inspections. But usually it's from the house to where the street is, the street connection is where it's at. All right, common types of sewer pipes. First, you used to have clay and ceramic and Orangeburg. Not really using those. Those were like 40s to like the 70s is when they use that. And those are just deteriorate a lot more. And if you still have those types of pipes, they're probably on their way out, you know, or already out. ABS plastic, and then also PVC is what's most commonly used now, is what they're using. Which is like you found out, they can also have problems even in newer places too. And then you have cast iron, and that's what was most commonly used through the years is cast iron. That's what we find a lot of now when we're doing inspections. Is the cast iron. What's that in track? Yeah.
Clay or cast iron.
You still have.
Yes, sir.
A lot of the ones in Trent, sewer line is into the floor.
Yeah, that's what mine's at.
So
Mine's
you
at least
either-
3 feet.
If they fix it, they either have to jackhammer or they have to run it almost like on top.
Right, exactly. And then you have, we run into still wood. I run into some wood stuff out in PA.
Never seen that.
Yeah, in PA, like really old houses, you still find wood drainage. Yeah, it's really
That's
crazy.
crazy.
And it's actually in pretty decent shape.
Wow.
Pretty decent shape, yep. It's not bad.
Oh,
At least
just
like
said
the paper.
okay. It should be okay.
Might have to hit okay. on that
Oh,
Oh, what?
one. On the laptop, we'll have to.
no, no, right?
Oh, the remote's over here.
Hurry up, 26 seconds.
I know, oh my gosh, oh my god. Where's my mouse?
Let me just hit okay on that. There we go. Oh, one more time. Oh, now.
I shoved it.
So what do we usually see in sewer lines? What kind of problems? We usually see low areas like the bellies we were talking about, offset pipes, tree roots, grease buildup, cracking, and pipe collapses. Right? We see a fractured pipe, offset joints, tree roots, collapsed pipes. Our biggest thing that we see are usually tree roots. That's what we see. I have a couple short little videos here. That's kind of a belly. Right?
Can you tell?
So you see how we're underwater there?
Yeah.
So it mattered, I couldn't, the whole thing I didn't see here, but you see how I went for about a foot or two, but this went a little bit more. So if you have more than 2 foot of us being underwater, that's considered a belly.
The water just sits.
The water just sits. So like, you see how we're underwater there?
Yeah.
So water just sitting there. I flush the toilet, I try to drain everything. If I see water in the pipe as we're getting up there, you see some water, you go, maybe there's just a little bit of water
So
sitting there.
what kind of piping is it?
This one here, this is a cast iron pipe. Yeah, and I can tell that usually by going through and you see the
So the
joints.
cast iron and clay, at least in older neighborhoods, they were put in pieces. So
They were put in
sometimes the
pieces.
tree root doesn't come through the pipe, comes through
Mhm.
where the pipes were connected.
Right.
I had one in Princeton like that.
Right, it comes through where the connection is. And that's what sometimes causes a belly, is sometimes those tree roots come through and they push the pipe down in different sections, and then all of a sudden you have a belly going through. So if we're going through and you find more than 2 feet of water just sitting, now it's considered a belly, now you have buildup. And the biggest reason why we call it out, we're gonna call it out for somebody to come and jet it out and then re-inspect it and see if there's any breaks, cracks, or anything in there, the areas that we could not see anything.
So if you have a belly, live in Carlo, you guys.
Yeah.
He had a backup, so what was the 15th Friday or whatever day?
Right.
He called someone, they came, cleaned it out.
Okay.
But scope, it's a possible belly.
Okay.
So I mean, is that something that he's telling me what my neighbor had was years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, but.
Yeah.
That pipe could break at any point.
I don't know about breaking, but it can just keep on getting built up.
So is that something as an inspector you would recommend fix?
I guess. Yeah, you want any belly or you want, I don't know how they live. You know, a lot of people throw stuff down their toilets, we don't know. So
Right.
the more stuff that goes in there, the belly's gonna clog up a lot quicker. If they're just regular, just
I told you,
draining,
I said you gotta disclose it.
I would.
Yeah.
I would, because it's gonna come back at them knowing, and you have a receipt now that it's clean, and, you know, so it's ready to come back. Some tree roots.
Yeah, I was like, what is this?
Yep, that's a little tree root coming through. So you always see the bottom of the pipe is here,
Okay,
right? So that's the top of the
so
pipe.
that's.
You
not-
almost-
So that's something like you said, true,
Right.
coming straight down.
You almost like where you live.
Yeah.
You should check your insurance, right? See if you have a rider.
Yeah.
for Sewer pipe.
Yeah.
If you have a rider, you have an issue, your insurance will cover it.
Yeah,
Insurance mostly doesn't. You live in an older established Hamilton neighborhood.
yeah,
Your pipes are probably.
Right,
Yeah, that's what I told my brother. I said, call your insurance company. He doesn't have a rider. Probably thought newer development, it's all PVC.
I know, that's interesting, though, this is a cast iron pipe too, right?
that's all right, coming right through a joint.
Yeah, wow.
Coming right through, that's a nice route coming through.
I know.
But that's, so that route coming through, right? If that's the only route in there, somebody might be able to come in there, jet that out, right? Cut the tree at the top, if it's not already cut, and then see what happens if they don't have the money to fix it,
Mhm.
right? Because now the tree, nothing's gonna get clogged there. The only thing that starts happening now, that root's gonna die, right? And eventually fall in, and now you probably have a hole,
Oh, yes.
That's a repair.
and now it's starting expensive repair.
Oh,
Right?
What do you know about pipe blasting?
Pipe blasting, jetting the pipe,
Well, it's a pipe within a pipe.
oh, relining it.
Yeah,
So I'll show you that.
Or
with the jet.
I guess they call it freshness.
Yep, so that is called this right here, trenchless repair.
Trenchless, yeah.
Yeah, so trenchless repair, what they're doing, diagnosing first, and then they're gonna clean the entire pipe, they're gonna come in and route it all out, clean the entire thing, and then they put this epoxy, it's an epoxy liner that they put in. And what they do is they push this all, I've been on a few of these jobs, it's hard,
really?
because you push this
But
through,
that's less expensive repair.
less expensive, it's about 30% less, so you're saving. It's a very hard work, because you have to do it quick, and so you're pushing it in, and then what happens is you heat it up, and you gotta push it all the way through the pipe in like 5 minutes.
Do you have to do the whole line or just the affected area?
You could do only the affected
So
area.
yeah, with the deli, his is closer to the house.
Mhm.
If it was 6 feet and it went 10 feet.
Yeah, but the belly, it's not gonna really do anything for the belly. It's just gonna
The
line,
belly's like
it's just gonna
Yeah.
line the belly. You know, you have to have like you have to have a break in it or something, like
Right.
you have to have something, like this, right?
Okay.
So that, they dug out, it was a break, they dug it out and then repaired that. If they wanted to line that, they could do that. They decided to dig it out, and
It's a clear job.
it's a cleaner job, you could see the repair, you know, you do that, you know. So doing the trenchless repair, you can have up to 2 feet of a collapsed pipe
Mhm.
and still be able to do the trenchless repair. Even though there's no pipe there,
Right,
there still has, if there's a hole there that you can see that everything's getting through, you can do that.
So someone that does trenchless work, if they're not 100% sure it's a belly, they'll be able to, like, inspect it, tell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep, absolutely, they'll be able to do this.
okay.
So that's what they'll probably do. They'll probably do 2 sections like this and just connect it, put the proper underlayment underneath there, and then do that, because it's PVC.
Yeah.
So it's an pretty easy repair. Back to
well,
here.
how do they know, like, when they're doing that epoxy? When to stop, or, you know, like, when you get to the road?
What do you mean, for the epoxy?
How far?
Well, they have
away?
one person on one side and one person on the other side.
Oh, okay.
And then what they do is, if it's only a portion, they
Yeah.
go in from the street, and they almost put like a blockage.
Yeah.
They put
okay.
like a blockage there, so they know where it is, they come with the camera, and then they bring it into that, and then they have, so they only put in so much of it, and they push it all the way back to there, and then they pull it out, almost like you're taking your sock,
Yeah,
and taking the inside of the sock and pulling it this way.
Mhm.
That's what they do, they reach in, and they
okay,
pull it out this way, and then it heats up, it quickly heats up, and then it cools like that.
okay.
And they've only started doing this, it's been around for a while, but maybe 10 years now. It's becoming more and more popular now because more pipes are becoming issues, you know, as you get older.
100 years old.
As they get older, you know, so 10 years, they say it can last 50 years or more, so hopefully I'll be around to see it.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is grease buildup, you can see it all just kind of all building up, the pipe is just getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's just kind of the buildup, and it's an issue because if the pipe doesn't have a lot of room to get, or the water doesn't, or the waste doesn't have a lot of room to get through, but this is really hard to clean too. You know,
Is
guys
there-
come in,
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask, is there a way to get rid of it?
yeah, guys come in with like the metal and they come in and clean it. Think about a chimney cleaning and going around. This is just a metal. And you have to know what you're doing because this is almost like a metal blade going in there.
Cut the fire, destroy the pipe.
Yeah, you could destroy the pipe going through. But it can be done. There's professionals obviously that do it all the time. You just have to find the right people to do it. But you can get a lot of backup with that. You know? All right. Offset and cracked pipes we talked about. So the offsets are one of the things that we find all the time. Like this here. So you're talking about your PVC. Like, look, this is like offset here. All the pipes that just when they installed them, they just
Is
didn't
that all removed?
install them right, you know? So you got cracked pipes, you got offset pipes. When they do a repair, you see a PVC to clay pipe here. They just never connected it properly there. So you have a lot of issues with that. They have a pipe coming in here. So that's a pipe probably coming from another bathroom maybe that they installed. And then it's just sticking there. You know something's gonna happen with that pipe there. All right, check this out here. So that's not a piece of PVC there.
That's true.
Looks like a stick.
So it's a rebar.
Okay,
So
Oh,
it's rebar going through this PVC pipe, right? And it's from a deck that's above. So this is the top here.
Oh.
So what they did was they put the footing here, and the contractor didn't know that the waistline was right below them. So they dug, and they hit the rebar through, and then they poured the concrete, and then the rebar is going right through the waistline there. And all that sewage is getting out. So to fix that, you gotta dig everything up, and then you have to take up the concrete too. Do that, you know? When we find damage, we can locate it if we need to. You know, so we use our locator and we have on our camera, we have the metal on there, so we can locate it with that there to find exactly where it's at. There. That's it, guys.